Welcome to UFC Honors. We're here in Las Vegas. What better place to give away some hardware and recognize some of the greatest fights of 2024 than the fight capital of the world. Happy to be inside our UFC Apex studio with Paul Felder. I'm Brendan Fitzgerald. Paul, you know, it's all about what's next in the fight game, right? We're looking for the next big moment, but this offers a great chance to reflect on the year that was. And we say it every year, record-setting previous year. 2024, though, made a new high level. It was something special.
I mean, we've had some just outstanding debuts, and the title picture has changed hands time and time again. And obviously, Sphere. We went to Sphere. I mean, that was absolutely epic. And UFC 300, there's so many things that we could talk about. And, you know, it's so much fun that we get to honor some of these fights and some of these moments throughout the year. Because 2024, I mean, the UFC is always ticking forward, but man, this was a big jump forward in the year, and I'm excited to see what's going to be next in 2025.
First time in a while where I'm wondering how we're going to top it. You know we will in certain ways, but I'm just wondering how, because 2024 was so epic. Of course, UFC Honors, our annual awards program, recognizing UFC fighters and performances throughout the course of the year. Coming up later, we're going to hear from Dana White. He has his president's picks for Performance of the Year and Fight of the Year. We will reveal that a little bit later. But first, Fan Choice Awards, what you guys voted on via social platforms for some of the best performances of the year. They look like this. The knockout of the year, we're going to be speaking a lot about Mr. Max Blessed Holloway and his epic knockout of Justin Gaethje that came with just seconds left on the clock at UFC 300. What a night that was. Islam Makhachev wins for submission of the year in a compelling fight against Dustin Poirier that went down in Newark at UFC 302. And then UFC 300, that was the event of the year. How could it not be? Paul already mentioned Sphere. We'll mention that again as honorable mention because of the stage that it set. But UFC 300 was such an epic night with a lot of huge performances. Carlos Prates, your debut of the year, specifically against Trevin Giles back in February, but really the body of work in his rookie season. 4 fights, 4 wins, all of them knockouts, capped off by a main event late in the year against Neil Magny, and then Renato Moicano over Jalen Turner for a great comeback. Is the comeback of the year. All the winners of UFC Honors received this tremendous trophy forever to put on their mantle, Paul. I mean, some of your fights, man, could have got you a trophy like this.
I'm jealous, Brendan. I really am.
Let's go into some of those categories, really, though, and the knockout of the year. Again, we're gonna be talking about Max Holloway a lot,
the Max show
as many people did. When you reflect on 2024 for Sphere, for UFC 300, for Ilia Topuria and Alex Pereira, the moment alone belonged to Max Holloway, and what a moment it was.
I mean, there's no doubt about it. Max was in charge of that fight the entire time, right? But what we are going to remember is that he gave Justin Gaethje that opportunity. He did the patented Max Holloway, pointing at the mat. Let's throw down here right now with this crowd at UFC 300. He gave him the chance, and he put him to sleep with like a second left on the clock. I mean, it doesn't get more epic than that. That really is the moment of the year for the BMF belt. I mean, Max is a legend for what he has done in his career so far, but then to top it off with that, unbelievable.
It made pointing at the ground so cool.
It was all over the place for the rest of the year.
But they can't do it like Max.
No, you can't do it. That's Max's move, man. You can't steal that. You can't do it the same.
We had some other great nominees, including Alex Pereira over Jamal Hill for his epic knockout. That came 2 fights after that one. And then Shara Bullet Magomedov with the double spin fist was a nominee as well. Again, there's no doubting that the correct moment won in a year that saw a million of them.
Yeah. I mean, you point at the ground in the center of that octagon with that crowd at that moment with a fight that's in the bag for you. It's in the bag. You could have just danced around that octagon. You got the BMF belt. You were former featherweight champion. You didn't have to risk it all. And that speaks to who Max Holloway is, not only as a man, but as a fighter. And that's why we love him so much. And that's why he's going to be walking away
with
one
of these.
And
the cherry on top, too, was for the BMF belt. That's how you win the BMF.
And that's why you're the BMF.
That's why
you pull that moment off, you point at the ground against Gaethje. Come on now.
2 months after that, UFC 302. That's where we find the submission of the year. Islam Makhachev defended his lightweight title over Dustin Poirier, who gave it his best effort. You got to give it to Dustin. He'd been trying for a long time. He'd been in multiple title fights. And there were some uneasy moments in here for Islam Makhachev. But in the end, the creativity in the grappling was something that we haven't seen before from him.
Yeah, just the pressure that he ends up putting on these guys and then pulling off this choke in a fight where, yeah, he was challenged, he was pushed. And that's what you want to see from your champions, right? It's not always going to be the cleanest day at the office. It's not going to be those picture-perfect performances. But to be able to pull that submission off late in the round against somebody with the submission skills and the grappling skills, of Poirier is incredible.
And the knock on Islam during his run up to being championship level was that he didn't have those finishes, those signature moments. He's got them now in spades, including that one. That one really set his year off.
A head kick over somebody like Alexander Volkanovski, and then a submission over somebody like Dustin Poirier. He's really coming into his own as a champion.
A lot of good submissions as well. I know you mentioned Paddy the Baddy over Bobby King Green. There were some good ones this year to choose from.
Absolutely. I mean, that one, Paddy the Baddy, just, everyone kind of had him counted out in that fight, right? We thought, okay, this is finally that big step up in competition for Paddy to be going against somebody like Bobby Green. And then to put him to sleep while simultaneously in that triangle and armbar situation, it's just slick. It was smooth. And that's where Paddy's most dangerous. I think people sleep on him because he's bubbly, he's crazy, likes to eat quite a bit in between fights, get a little overweight. But when he's in that octagon and he's on point, his submission skills shine.
Got to think before he calls it a career, Paddy the Baddy might own one of those trophies. We'll see for submission of the year. That certainly is his wheelhouse. But Islam Makhachev, congratulations. UFC Honors submission of the year. Let's go to event of the year, and we're right back to April. We're right back to UFC 300. Sphere was unlike anything we've ever seen before and probably will see ever again. But in terms of celebrating the history of this sport, the history of the UFC, what it's become, we had names from the past, we had some of the next great stars, and we had titles, including a BMF all-time moment. UFC 300 surpassed the hype, and the hype was high.
Yeah, I mean, it was such an incredible event. And then to obviously end the night with just moments like this. Well, not end the night, but he ended Justin Gaethje's night, that's for sure. Unbelievable moment. And it just, the whole atmosphere around that UFC 300, it just speaks to where the UFC is now, too, and how far we've come. And then to have a moment like that on the card and have that Alex Pereira knockout, and there's still bad blood boiling about that one,
Yeah, I mean,
too.
you had former champions, double-digit champion or former champions. You had Cody Garbrandt in the very first fight of the night. You had epic performances. You had, again, a lot of who's next probably in terms of big stars. And then Jim Miller, of course, 100, 200, 300.
Jim F. and Miller, baby.
That was awesome. And again, Sphere. I mean, we can't leave it out. How is Sphere honorable mention? But it is. But the theatrics of Sphere was so special. It deserves mentioning.
It does deserve mentioning. And, the fight card was incredible, and there were some epic fights, but really it was just a spectacle. And the amount of commitment that everyone that works for the UFC had to put in there, I think a lot of times the fighters, deservedly so, get all the shine, right? Because that's what this company is all about. But really, Sphere, I think, got to showcase what everyone behind the scenes is doing. All of our staff, all of the producers and the production company to put on that in that arena. It's not meant for having fights, and it looked beautiful. It was stunning, and it really just gave honor to the fighting tradition and the Mexican heritage and just everything around it. It was, even at home for me, it was just incredible to watch.
Noche UFC was a resounding success in 2023, so big that they wanted to blow it out of the water in 2024. They did that at Sphere in September. Let's go to debut of the year. Again, specifically to Carlos Prates for his performance against Trevin Giles. He wasn't happy with this one, though, if you remember, Paul, because it happened in round 2. After this, he took care of business 3 more times this year. 4-0 in his first year on the roster.
This kid is a star, man. There's no doubt about it. He's got the attitude. He's from the fighting nerds. He's got the awesome gym behind him. And to make your debut and have an outstanding performance is one thing, but for Carlos Prates to then rattle off 3 more victories in that calendar year, all by finish, all by knockout, the kid's got swag, he's marketable, and he's a finisher, and he's a striker. He's dangerous, he's fun.
Yeah.
I'm a fan.
Found his way to a main event against the perennial veteran contender Neil Magny, and he took care of him in quick order in a main event to end his year. What do you look forward to on Carlos Prates, a fighter with this much potential?
I look forward to seeing him even step up the competition even more, start fighting those guys in the top 15. If he can start putting guys that have bigger numbers next to their name away the way he is, he's really, in the amount of volume that he fights at, if he's fighting 3-4 times a year, he's going to find himself in more main events and potentially, title contender situations sooner than later. Because if you even remember looking back on the when he fought Chuck Buffalo, he was staring at the current champion through the cage quite a bit in Bilal Muhammad. So he's already setting things up there.
Lot is expected of Carlos Prates and that Fighting Nerds team. Bravo, they are still on a rocket ship to the top of their respective divisions. Now we go to the comeback of the year. This happened again at UFC 300. We keep going back to that special night in April. Renato Moicano was really getting it taken to him by Jalen Turner, who, you know, has an impressive, imposing physique and a lot of skills at 155, but Moicano withstood it, got it to the ground, ultimately gets a victory.
I mean, he got crushed with a shot in that fight and somehow got his wits about him and was able to do what Moicano does best. Listen, guys, Moicano loves money. There's no doubt about that. He's been the one that said that forever. And he went out there, he turned the table, he got on top of Jalen Turner, and he did what he does best. That's pressure on the ground, whether it's submission or his ground and pound. And you got to love that. That's what the UFC is all about, is the heart, the determination of these guys to be able to pull it out, even when they've been hurt as badly as he was.
It's a nice win streak for Moicano, who then got a main event in Paris against Benoit Saint-Denis. I mean, he's on a real hot streak, and he was a former featherweight, so I think there were a lot of questions on, can he thrive in this weight class? And he's shown that he can.
Yeah, I think he's in his natural weight class, right? As guys get older, you've got to start adjusting those types of things. If you want to have a long career, you've got to realize, okay, maybe when I was younger, when I was 20, 25, I could fight in that weight class. And he made those adjustments. And ever since then, that's when he really has gone on his roll and looked as good as he's got another big fight. And he's on a roll. And the way he gets on the mic, he's always got something to say. He's entertaining. I was on a podcast doing an interview with Michael Bisping not too long ago. He's always fun.
Spoke about the economy. That's why he's Money Moicano, right?
He sure did.
You never know what he's going to say next.
I learned some things, Brendan.
You never know how he's going to win, and you never know what he's going to say afterwards.
That's what you want in a fight.
It's worked for Derek Lewis. All right, well, we mentioned at the top of the show that UFC CEO Dana White has president's picks in 2 categories. The nominees for the first one, Fight of the Year, are now.
One of the most decorated featherweight champions of all time. Here is Max Flex Holloway, another high-profile belt on the line for him here tonight.
He's looking for something big, something that excites him. He has found that in Justin Gaethje.
The former UFC interim lightweight king, Justin Gaethje. He is the reigning and now defending BMF champion. It's the ultimate damage causer.
He's doing baddest man on the planet. This is going to be fun.
Beautiful low kick. Hard low kick.
Ooh. Wow, right hand by Holloway.
Oh! Look at this. Holloway just told him, stand right here. Oh! Big connection late. That'll do it with 1 second to go. Gaethje face first on the canvas. Max Holloway wins the BMF title. An absolute stunner at UFC 300. Oh, my goodness. 1 second to go.
Khalil Roundtree Jr. He competes for the world title against Moatan tonight.
And what an extraordinary opportunity this man has to beat one of the scariest human beings that has ever competed in this sport.
Enter the UFC light heavyweight champion, Alex Moatan Pareto, is indescribable. Intensity personified.
Big right hand connection by Roundtree Jr. He tagged him again. He just got him backing up. Oh, there it is. Alex Pareto reigns supreme. Still.
Esteban Ribovics in green, Daniel Zellhuber in red.
Zellhuber is coming on strong.
Bell is getting after it.
Oh, Ribovic's connected. This is such a perfectly matched fight.
It's insane.
Oh, nice beautiful elbow by Zellhuber.
Zellhuber now lands. A knee and a right to the...
Unbelievable.
The spear is alive!
What a fight.
What a fight between the lightweight contenders. We have just been jonesing to see them lock the door behind these two gentlemen. Here we go, folks.
Oh,
he hurt him.
another right hand, and now guillotine.
Gamrot dropping for a submission here. Hooker wise to it. Furious start for Poland's Gamrot.
Aggressive tonight. Oh my goodness.
Oh, he hurt him bad.
Big hook for Dan Hooker now.
Oh, nice right hand.
Huge left hook late from Hooker. What a fight. Dan Hooker, Mateusz Gamrot go the distance in front of the adoring masses here in Perth. We'll find out tonight if Benoit Saint-Denis is ready for primetime as he takes on the king of Lafayette, Louisiana, Dustin Poirier.
Oh yeah, guillotine. Dustin's got a really good guillotine, and it's early. It's almost like he just doesn't know. He doesn't know what a 25-minute fight looks like, so he doesn't know how to face himself.
Big elbow.
He's just going.
Oh, Dusty stung him with the right hand.
Now he lands up.
Saint-Denis nearly out. Dustin Poirier has done it by KO in round 2.
What a fight.
Dustin, the Diamond Poirier.
Hey, Charlie Arnold here for the big reveal of the President's Choice 2024 Fight of the Year Award. You just saw the nominees. These choices are all incredible. You already know it had to be a difficult choice for the president, but Dana White is tasked with making a decision, and he has come to a conclusion. The winner of the 2024 Fight of the Year Award goes to, drumroll please, Max Holloway versus Justin Gaethje. I mean, we already knew Max Holloway had this fight won. He didn't need to do anything more. But what did he do? He said, come get this. 10 seconds to go, leading him to getting that explosive last-second knockout over Justin Gaethje and having him crowned the BMF champ. Truly a memorable moment of 2024 and no doubt going to be a memorable moment for all of UFC history. Guys, what more needs to be said? Back to you.
Well, we have to keep talking about it because we're not done talking about it. How could you say anything else? Fight of the year, Max Holloway and Justin Gaethje. You know, when you end something that strongly, it's just tough to come back from anything else but Max Holloway.
That's all anybody can remember, right? I mean, that fight was awesome leading up to that, but really that last second, just standing there toe-to-toe in the center of the octagon, it's for the BMF belt. Both these guys laying it on the line, and then for Max, who's a featherweight, moving up to 155, not necessarily known for his knockout power, and then puts one of the toughest, baddest dudes in the lightweight division, one of the guys with the most bonuses ever, puts him to sleep at UFC 300. Congratulations to both those guys. An incredible fight. But man, that list, just looking at that list,
right,
makes you relive all those memories. It was quite a list of fights.
You know, knockout of the year, that's a pretty easy one for Max. But fight of the year, I thought there was a lot of strong competition. Alex Pereira, Khalil Roundtree. And then not the championship stakes, but in Sphere. Zellhuber and Ribovic stole the show that night.
Unreal. I mean, with that backdrop that they had going on there, and those two dudes just absolutely throwing down the entire time. Both guys had their moments. That really was the one I thought was in contention potentially, other than Max and Gaethje. That fight was just so much fun to watch. Both guys hurt so badly, but digging as deep as you possibly can really just shows the heart of a fighter. And in that moment, with the Mexican backdrop going on, it was just unbelievable.
There's a UFC Hall of Fame fight wing. Perhaps one of those other fights from this year makes their way to that someday. Now, for the Dana White President's Choice for Performance of the Year, I'll give you one guess, but let's take a look at the nominees anyway.
Our UFC Featherweight Championship on the line. Oh, early right hand lands for Topuria.
Yeah, he looks sharp. Ooh, very strong low kick.
Topuria is looking to explode, cutting the cage off, backing him up, and he's so calm as well.
Oh, big right hand from Topuria.
Oh, they're good shots. Oh!
tension in this arena is palpable.
Oh, good left hook by Max.
Oh,
He
man,
hurt him.
He hurt him.
Oh! I think he broke his nose.
Yeah. Wow, right hand by Holloway.
Oh! Oh!
Holloway looks fresh, man.
Good right hand. Oh!
Huge right in round 5 for
What a
Holloway.
combination.
Look at this. Holloway just told him, stand right here.
Oh, big connection late. Oh! That'll do it. Max Holloway wins the BMF title.
That's a warrior. That's a real warrior.
All right, here we go. Undisputed UFC light heavyweight championship on the line.
Oh,
There's a big left hook. Big left hook.
Fury better be careful.
He's already hurt that leg very bad.
Oh! Huge knockdown right on the gut of round 1.
Oh boy, he's wobbly. He's real wobbly.
All right, here we go, round 2. We will see the extent to which Prochazka has recovered.
Oh! Alex Pineda with an early head kick, round 2. And still, Alex Pineda remains on top of the MMA world.
Early shot from Chimaev and a sprawl from Whitaker.
He goes across the octagon
So
and
fast.
shoots that double leg so fast. Now he's got his back.
Trying to get an elbow home right on the Erie lands.
Oh! Oh, he tapped!
Oh, he tapped! Still undefeated!
That was
Comes
fast.
up, Chimaev is that good!
That is amazing that he did that to Robert Whitaker.
5 rounds if needed for the undisputed UFC featherweight championship.
Topuria is very patient in his approach. Doesn't rush. I mean, big power and tremendous boxing. Big right hand landed for Topuria there. Right now, these guys are evenly matched. Topuria, though, remember, Topuria takes 1. He can shut your lights out.
Oh, it's a big left hook. Topuria really trying to get that power going now. Oh! A huge right now for Topuria. Oh! Massive knockdown for Topuria. And still, he does it again. The Georgian, the Spaniard, El Matador, Ilia Topuria.
Hey, Charlie Arnold back here for another big reveal, this time for the President's Choice 2024 Performance of the Year Award. All the nominees filled with high emotion, intensity, heart, but a decision must be made, and Dana White has come to his. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, the winner of the Performance of the Year Award goes to, yet again, Max Holloway versus Justin Gaethje. Guys, if this were the Oscars, they would call it a sweep. And speaking of movies, the night this occurred after UFC 300, Dana White straight up said, this is some movie type of stuff. You do not see this anywhere else but the UFC. The last 10 seconds, not even necessary for Max Holloway to get the victory. But as a result of that, he will forever go down in history as one of the baddest men on the planet. Guys, I know you've already talked about this fight probably enough, but get ready to talk about it some more.
Well, there you have it. The performance of the year, according to UFC CEO Dana White, and really anybody who's ever watched the sport of mixed martial arts, Max Holloway over Justin Gaethje, UFC 300. Hey, I warned you at the top of the show we're going to be talking about it a lot, and deservedly so because of what it was.
I mean, this moment is going to live throughout history in the UFC. I mean, this is just as epic as it comes when there's a second left on the clock. 10 seconds is where it starts, and Max goes, you know what? We're fighting for the BMF belt here, Gaethje. Let's go. Points to the mat and then absolutely puts him to sleep. And both guys are swinging haymakers. This is anybody's fight. That was a chance. There's a parallel universe somewhere where Justin Gaethje is actually the BMF champ there and knocks him out, but not in the world that we live in today. It was Max Holloway.
You mentioned it's going to live on. You know the highlight reel they run before main cards in the arenas. That has a place forever.
That's the best one ever.
Dare I say. How
it
could
really
it not?
is.
Max Holloway giving his acceptance speech from the islands of Hawaii.
What up, guys? Max Holloway here. Huge shout out to the boss man himself, Dana White, for selecting me not once, but twice for the 2024 President's Awards, and the awards being Fight of the Year and Performance of the Year, both being my fight at UFC 300 with Justin Gaethje. You the man, Dana. I heard this year you giving out bonuses, so I'll be waiting. All jokes aside, guys, to some serious matters at hand, I'm sending all my love, all my prayers over to all the people in California who is affected by the fires. You know how close this is to me, especially with what's going on with Maui. We're continuing fighting on Maui. So you guys stay strong, stick together, and keep pushing forward. All love, guys. You guys be safe.
Not to Max Holloway, of course, for his fighting ability, but who he is as a person, and of course, shouting out the devastating wildfires in California, our hearts as well, down in Southern California with the devastation. And you heard him. I mean, he has experience in that area from his home state of Hawaii back in 2023. But Max Holloway always knows what to say. Whether the moments are great, whether they're not great, he knows what to say.
Yeah, I mean, you know, this is a guy who's been a champion for many, many years, former champ, now BMF belt holder, and a guy who loves to give back, loves to give back to his community, and somebody that really knows how to just appreciate the moment and be a good guy.
Yeah, we have to say honorable mention for a guy that beat Max Holloway near the end of the year, Ilia Topuria, 2 wins, 2 title fights, getting the featherweight belt against Volk, an all-time great, defending it against Max, being the first to knock him out. He was a nominee in 2 Performance of the Year fights because he has become a superstar.
I mean, what Ilia Topuria did in 2024 is unbelievable, right? I mean, Volkanovski was one of the, possibly the featherweight GOAT, right? And that's what we were talking about. That was his status. And Ilia went out there and made it look easy. Then it was like, oh, well, nobody's knocked out Max Holloway. There's no way. There's, you know, you've seen what he's capable of doing. We've been talking about him this entire show. Well, Ilia Topuria didn't care. And he had that same swag, that same confidence the entire time we talked to him during fight week. And he went out there and absolutely delivered. And I cannot wait to see what his 2025 is going to look like.
One more quick nod to Alex Pereira, who defended his belt 3 times in the span of like 4 months. My goodness. Wins in all of those, headlining International Fight Week, UFC 300 later in the year in Salt Lake City as well for Pereira. All right, let's take a look ahead now at 2025. I mean, we can't really predict when the performance of the year is going to be or what the event of the year is going to be, but fighters to watch in 2025, who are you looking at?
I mean, there's so many, really, and I'm really going to leave a lot out, unfortunately, but that's the show here. We've got to pick a few, and obviously, with fights that are potentially on the horizon, nothing really set in stone, but Tom Aspinall, come on now. If he can get the fight that we all know he wants, that John Jones fight, he has for sure the potential to go on in 2025 to be a fight of the year and potentially do a double duty here and get a performance of the year as well if he puts out somebody like John Jones. Not that's going to happen. Another guy who potentially has a fight on the horizon, I'm not sure if anything's set in stone with him, but Jack Della Maddalena. My God, Jack. We're going to call you Jack from now on, buddy. You know, if he ends up getting that fight with Leon or some other big fight, he's been sitting injured, waiting, and we forget how good this kid is. If he can stay healthy and continue a run through 2025, he's another one that we could be talking about potentially fighting for a title as well. And as far as a potential upcomer and somebody to look, Peyton Talbot is a kid that's just been surging from his Contender Series run through the fights that he's had in the UFC so far. He's got an attitude about him. He's got confidence, swag, and man, he puts people out, and he's not afraid of a dogfight, too. That's a kid I think you really got to keep your eyes on. There's so many more. I'm not even going to get into it.
Yeah. Before we let you go, one more thought on 2024. Anything that we haven't touched on that stand out to you off the top of your head in terms of a moment or a location or what we saw in the octagon that we'll remember?
I mean, I really got to say, you know, just Sphere didn't get talked about enough. And I know the fights were awesome, but really just that spectacle.
We hadn't seen anything like
that. Nobody has seen anything, especially in combat sports, quite like that. And that might have been it, right? So I think we really got to look back at that in 2024 and really cherish that. We may never see that again, especially, you know, at that level with the UFC and the fighters that we had on that card. So shout out to, again, everybody involved as we sit here on this desk with all our crew around here. So for 2025, just a big shout out to the guys that handled that so well back in 2024.
Well, it's a high bar to achieve. Again, you know we're going to do it, but you just don't know how and where. I'm waiting to see what new locations pop up on the UFC calendar in 2025, which will be memorable as well. And we'll have some UFC honors to hand out for that next year. UFC fans, if you want to learn more about UFC honors, visit UFC.com/honors. For Paul, I'm Fitz. Thanks for watching.